couldn't possibly launch the new loan at 74 because nobody would buy it.
No.
And Baring and Leydrance and his little band of bankrupt brigands will wait for it to go up. But suppose instead of going up, its tier goes down to 55, to 50, to 45, to 40, why they'll never be able to launch the loan at all. And by gad, that's where it's going. Sell.
Look at Rothschild. You'd think he was selling apples instead of government bonds.
Bonds are now at 53.
All right. I'll keep on selling till I tell you to stop.
You're creating something like a panic on the exchange, sir.
I know. What kind of a flower is this that Hannah gave me this morning?
I don't know, sir.
Very pretty. Smells nice, too.
Mr. Rothschild, do you know what you're doing to the market? What have you heard?
My dear fellow, I don't hear things. I just imagine them. You know what kind of a flower this is?
No. 52. 52. That means I'm down about 25 million francs. And you the same, Leydrance. Can't something be done to stop him, Baring? You're the biggest banker in England. Are we all to be ruined by the gymnastics of a dirty Shylock? I've thrown the entire resources of Baring's bank into the pool, but I can't stop it. He's got us on the run.
Right. I bet you half a crown that Baring makes straight for this post within 2 minutes.
I'll take you, sir.
I'm tired of losing money. I'd like to win some.
You're a magician, sir. Here he is. Mr. Rothschild, I don't have to tell you this is nothing less than slaughter. You know my position. I'm responsible for this new issue at 71, and you're making it impossible for me to put it on the market.
We are both bankers. You knew I ought to have had a share of this loan. Why did you shut me out?
Certain pressure was brought to bear on me.
Ha! Leydrance.
Well, yes.
Then let Leydrance speak for himself. All right, Mr. Baring. I'll come. I'll follow you. About how much has this thing cost us up to now?
About £5 million.
All right. We'll make 10. I hope I haven't kept you waiting, gentlemen, because I know you must all be very busy.
We sent for you, Rothschild, to make you an offer. You resent being left out of this loan. Mr. Baring, as you know, holds 3/4 of it. He is prepared to part with half of that to you. Will that satisfy you?
What about the other quarter?
That, as you know, is held by us.
Oh, yes, you bought it at 71.
Well, we're responsible for it.
You bought it at 71.
It was allotted to us.
And not against your will, I hope.
Certainly not.
So you bought it at 71.
What do you mean, bought it?
Can you pay for it at 71?
You know perfectly well that no one is prepared to pay in full for an entire issue.
Were you prepared to pay anything? Could you have stood a 10-point drop? No. You took it for a rise. You're financially irresponsible, the whole lot of you, except Mr. Baring. Well, I know just how much money you've got, each one of you. And if I like to hold down the market till after the first of the month, and I can, you're all ruined and dishonored, including Baring's bank. Now, I'll rescue you on one condition. That you pass me the entire issue at 68.
That's impossible. Now, what excuse can we offer to the public?
Just say it was found necessary.
On what grounds?
Oh, on a technicality.
No.
Very well.
Wait, please. We have to deal with Mr. Rothschild. Under the circumstances, I consider his offer a generous one. And as the head of the House of Baring, I insist on Mr. Rothschild's terms being accepted.
What? Are you going to take it off our hands, Rothschild? That's uncommon good of you.
Why, Count Nesselrode, are you also on the preferred list?
Yes, but I much prefer to be off of it.
Well, we've no choice.
I accept.
I say yes without hesitation.
Count Leydrance?
Very well.
To save time, I had this little contract drawn, which I shall ask you gentlemen to sign.
You seem to have been very sure of yourself.
I was. Quite. Will you sign first?
$49.
You won your fight with me, Jew. But remember, victory may be bought too dearly.
What are you going to do, sir?
I'm going to Frankfurt. I'll leave within an hour.
Mama, you know the doctor's doing everything he can for you.
You must remember, Mrs. Rothschild, you are 88 years old, and I can't make you any younger.
I'm not asking you to make me any younger. I'm asking you to make me older.
She's better. She's insulting people.
There's nothing the matter with her. Just nerves.
Nerves? Do you think I'm afraid of that rabble? I've had 88 years of this, and I'm not dead yet.
But we want you to come away with us for a few months. You're not safe here.
I was born here, and I'll die here. And that won't be soon, either. I'll live a dozen years yet. Nathan, you ought to know enough about bargains to know the Lord isn't going to take me at 88 when he can get me at 100. Well, Nathan, what's brought you here all of a sudden?
He came to see his wife and family.
What have you been doing that girl of yours? She goes mewing about like a cat that's lost her kittens.
She needs a change.
She needs a husband, that's what's the matter with her. What about one of the Goldschmidt boys?
I'm afraid Julie has ideas of her own.
Then leave her alone. She's no fool.
Can you tell me which is the Rothschild house?
Yeah.
That's it.
What's the use of our pretending?
I don't pretend to Father. He knows exactly how I feel. But you see, darling, he's determined, too.
But you know we can't give each other up. Sending you away from me only makes matters worse. Did you tell him you'd give me up?
I told him I'd try. I don't seem to be trying very hard, do I? Let me look at you. How long did it take you to get here? How long have you been riding?
I left yesterday morning.
How'd you manage?
I asked Nosy for leave.
Who's Nosy?
That's what we call the Duke behind his back.
Oh.
I think he guessed where I was bound for. Anyhow, he said yes. Of course, I'd no idea your father was here.
No, of course not. What are we going to do?
I'm going to see him and have it out.
Fitz,
Oh, darling. Won't you see this through with me somehow?
I've got you and I'm going to keep you.
Then will you be very brave? A soldier. And wear this ring.
Oh, yes.
It's one of those family things. My mother wore it.
Oh, it's lovely.
What's the meaning of this?
Father, Fitz has only just arrived. I saw him and brought him in here.
Does your mother know?
No. No, nobody knows but us.
Why are you here? You knew my wishes?
I came here for the same reason you did, sir. I heard there was trouble and Julie was in danger.
Go to your mother.
I'd rather stay and hear what you have to say to Fitz.
Please go, Julie.
It's no use, Father.
I had a good reason for keeping you and my daughter apart. I desire that you respect my wishes.
If Julie weren't agreeable, I wouldn't be here, sir. But her happiness is involved as well as mine.
Unfortunately, we differ as to where her happiness lies.
What has changed your attitude toward me, sir?
Captain Fitzroy, I doubt whether there's a single man in London today who would suspect me of being a sentimental fool, which apparently I have been. But fortunately, I have a certain amount of common sense, which sometimes comes to my rescue. You'll please understand that your attentions to my daughter are objectionable to me.
What is your objection?
You're not of our race.
That's an objection I think you might have raised a great deal earlier,
I
sir.
was a sentimental fool. Walk through this ghetto. Go into the Jewish quarter of any town in Prussia today, and you'll see men lying dead. Julie's people killed by your people for but one crime, that they were Jews. Now do you understand?
I'm sorry, sir, but I still love Julie.
Julie is a Rothschild, and she'll not marry without her father's consent. Good day.
Fitz, no matter what happens, no matter even if what Father says is true, I love you. Always.
The Jews of Prussia know that this uprising is the direct result of your quarrel with Ladrans, and that has made them bitter against you.
Fools, Nathan has done more for the Jews in England than any man who ever lived.
England isn't Prussia, Mama.
Ladrans has his agents everywhere. They spread lies and propaganda.
You've got to put the screws on.
Money is the only screws we have. And now, with Napoleon in exile, Ladrans and the Allies need us no more. It's queer, isn't it? We fight for the peace of Europe, and with peace, we lose our power.
Well, you've got to do something. They burned down the Levy's house last night, and they burned down this one if they dared, but they're afraid of me. You tell all those kings and ministers you feed that if they don't stop this outrage, you'll stop their pocket money.
If I thought Ladrans would listen, if I thought I could make him call off his dogs, I'd go to him. But
now, don't worry, Nathan, and make yourself sick. The Lord isn't going to desert us. So take a rest. Leave the work to him.
If there was only some way you could handle Ladrans. For the sake of our Jewish people, I think you should go to him, Nathan.
Grovel at his feet, eh? All right. If you think so, I'll go. He must have his price, and whatever it is, I'll pay it.
I'll make you gentlemen pay for your wine.
The cards seem to favor you tonight, Your Excellency.
Well, they should. They're my cards.
Colonel. Any news?
Good news, Your Excellency.
Dresden. Entire ghetto reduced to ashes by fire. It is estimated that 5,000 Jewish refugees crossed the border into the Netherlands.
I have dispatched 3 agents to The Hague to stir up the populace there.
Frankfurt. The citizens stormed the ghetto and fired 2 houses. A serious pogrom was prevented by the arrival of the Civic Guard. Who ordered out the civic guard?
The burgomaster, but he won't interfere again. We've explained Your Excellency's campaign.
That's splendid news, Colonel.
I have still better news for Your Excellency.
Yes?
Nathan Rothschild is in Frankfurt. He arrived from London last night.
If he tries to leave, I want him arrested at the border and brought to me here.
Yes, Your Excellency. Upon what grounds?
Make your own grounds.
Yes, Your Excellency.
The House of Rothschild. The house with the red shield. I'll make it red.
That's him, the one in the heavy coat.
Goodbye, sir. And I promise you I won't come back without an agreement from Ladrans to stop this Pope, whatever the cost may be.
May God be with him.
Send word to stop his carriage as he starts to pass through the city gate. Seize him and place him under arrest. Quick.
Mr. Rothschild! Mr. Rothschild!
What is it, Schumann?
This message just arrived at the office, sir. It's from Mr. Nathan.
Me?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Napoleon has escaped from Elba. The French are rallying to his banner by thousands. This means war. Another war.
Now you can go to Ladrans. Now he needs you, and we'll have to see him.
No, I won't go to Ladrans. Ladrans will come here to the ghetto. Michael, bring my baggage back. I'm not going.
Very well, sir.
Of course, Wellington, I'm Prime Minister, but you're the idol of the people.
My dear fella, I'm going to retire quietly to the country, surrounded by me dogs and me books and...
Yes?
For his grace.
Ah, for me, eh? Will you excuse me? Yes, yes, yes.
Oh! That blasted little Corsican is back. What?
Oh, Ladrans.
I gave orders not to be disturbed.
It's important, sir. Word has just reached us. Napoleon has escaped and is in France mobilizing his army. Mama, dear.
Yes?
My, you're walking just like a young girl.
Well, boys? Come here. Let's have another look at you. Yeah, you're all growing up, aren't you? Nathan, I think you're getting fat. I'm proud of you. All of you. Your father would have been 92 today. Ours is the richest banking house in Europe, and we're still being kicked.
It looks as though we haven't played our cards very well, doesn't it?
Perhaps we haven't.
I'm not criticizing.
I think we're open to criticism, Mama. And that's what has brought us all together here today.
Oh, is it? I thought you came here to see me. It seems it takes a war and a Jewish pogrom to get us all together nowadays.
Now, that's not fair, Mama. You know we're
Well,
almost
don't let's
come.
waste time in compliments. What have you come for?
James.
Nathan, you run the English house, and so you have the sea between you and trouble. But we, Carl and Solomon and Amschel and I, are here in the furnace.
I know.
And with Napoleon on the map again, our position is intolerable.
Napoleon will be in Paris in a week, with the whole army rallying to his banner and deserting Louis. Napoleon's soldiers must be paid, and if he can't borrow money, he'll take it.
Has he suggested a loan?
Yes. He sent for me as head of the Paris house. I went to see him in Lyon, and he made a definite proposal. Now listen, Nathan, before you give an opinion. We've issued 450 million francs worth of bonds for a government which started packing at the first blast of a bugle. Napoleon guarantees the payment of these bonds down to the last centime, and on future loans he agrees to double the interest offered by his enemies. What have the Allies to offer us?
From the simple standpoint of business, we shouldn't hesitate a day longer. A refusal to support Napoleon means not only the probable loss of a murderous sum, but James's Paris business, my Naples business, will be wiped out like that. And Amschel's and Solomon's are in great danger. It's no longer a question with me. We should support Napoleon.
As far as I can see, the Allies seem to be under the thumb of a tyrant from Austria and a scoundrel from Prussia. Metternich and Ladrance.
Mama has said we are still being kicked, and she's right. For a quarter of a century we have stood with the Allies, and apart from what we've got out of it personally, houses, fine clothes, carriages, as Jews, we are just where we started, in the Jew Street, waiting for the chains to be put up. I agree with the others. We've got to transfer our support to Napoleon and start over again with him.
Well, son?
You're right, all of you. Every word you've said is true. But still, we must fight Napoleon.
Why?
Well, because we're the Rothschilds. For the time being, anyway, we're something more than 5 rich Jews looking for the main chance. We know, the world knows, that until Napoleon is gone forever, there can be no peace in Europe for Jew or Gentile. You can't deny it, any of you. We've got to take the risk. We've got to swallow our pride, to stomach our resentment. We've got to go against every normal, selfish impulse in us and do what is right for the world. We can go hand in hand with Napoleon and spread this war over years. We can pay for fire and blood till all Europe is a slaughterhouse. And the Jew would stand as a pawnbroker in lives. We can't do it. We must stand as we've always stood. Not for war, but for peace. And if we all go down, we'll go down with honor. We leave no shame anywhere.
My son, that is what your father would have said.
You're right. I agree.
The house with the red shield, Your Excellency.
The Philistines are upon us. Who is it? Metternich, Talleyrand, and Ladrance.
Could that be the tax collector?
Something very like it, Mama.
Is Mr. Nathan Rothschild here?
Your Excellency will enter.
Lords, this is a great pleasure. But how did you find your way?
The Duke of Wellington was kind enough to supply us with a guide, Captain Fitzroy, who has, I believe, been here before.
Won't you come in? My brothers and I were speaking of you only this moment.
Prince Metternich?
I won't burden you with introductions, except perhaps to my mother, who was startled by your arrival. She thought you were the tax collector, Count Ladrance.
Welcome to our ghetto.
You will forgive this unexpected visit.
Certainly. We were expecting it.
Then we may assume you know precisely why we are here.
Not the precise amount, but approximately.
May I congratulate you on your brilliant son, Madame Rothschild?
Yes, I'm told I'm the mother of half the loans in Europe.
I am here at the request of the Duke of Wellington and the Allied governments.
In that case, my brothers, too, are interested. Won't you sit down?
We will not intrude very long.
Well, you're chained in at 6.
Speaking for myself, I admit that I come as a penitent. We've not always treated you quite fairly, Nathan. And now, frankly, we need you.
You should join Wellington on the field of battle. He once told me that the test of a great general is to know when to retreat and to have the courage to do it.
The Allies need money. Now, we're not asking you to give anything. You're money lenders, and you'll get your interest.
You sure of that?
Don't you trust the powers?
No, Austria's bankrupt.
France is already in the hands of Napoleon.
And so is Italy.
Why don't you go to the other bankers? Your own bankers.
We have not sufficient capital.
You mean they won't take the chance?
What if Napoleon wins?
I suppose there must be a certain amount of risk in your business.
No, we ask security. What security can you offer us? Ah, then don't say you're not asking us to give anything. You're asking us to give a great deal.
I see no reason for prolonging this meeting. As you say, we are moneylenders, not philanthropists. We do it for profit. You may as well know that Napoleon has offered us twice as much as you can promise us, and we've decided to take his offer.
Gone over to the enemy, eh?
I must admit, I'm amazed.
How will Napoleon get the money to pay you?
Steal it. But that's not our business.
I always thought you stood for peace.
For 20 years, we've been supporting the peace of Europe. Now we're thinking of the peace of our own people.
The Jews?
Yes. Napoleon will give us our freedom. That's why we are for Napoleon.
Is that your only reason for deserting the Allies?
I resent being cross-questioned by you, Count Ledrance.
I think His Excellency was about to make a proposition.
Oh.
Well, if we gave you all the freedom that Napoleon could give you, would you then be willing to sacrifice the financial advantage of his offer?
Count Ledrance, we are moneylenders.
Come, Nathan, after all these years...
What do you offer?
What do you want?
Brothers, may I speak for you?
Yes,
of course. We require an agreement, a treaty, signed and guaranteed by your governments, giving to our people absolute freedom. In this agreement, they would lose their chains. They would have the right to follow any trade, to own land, to live with respect, and remember what our father said, Mama? To walk the world with dignity.
I fear we will have to lay that before our respective governments.
You are your respective governments, and you know it. The day this agreement is signed, the resources of the House of Rothschild will be at your command, and not before.
Very well, we accept.
Pray excuse this, my lords. Some Gentile has evidently strayed into our quarter.
Goodbye, Granny. Goodbye, my precious. Goodbye, dear.
Who's got my hat?
Oh, here you are, Father.
Oh. James.
Father, I'll go on out the carriage with Michael.
All right, my dear. James, it's of vital importance that we should have first-hand news from the field of battle. Somebody to be close to Wellington's troops. Whom can we trust?
In time of war, nobody.
What about you? Will you do it?
Yes. And I'll get word to you every day.
Of every move they make, the instant they make it, and always by the usual method. Oh, Mama?
I'll come to the door with you.
Oh.
Won't let it be a long war, will you?
It shall be just as short as our money can make it. Good luck. Goodbye, Mama.
It's a horse, dear.
This time I'm here by command of the Duke of Wellington, sir.
Give me the ring quickly. Darling.
Well, I must say I hope the entire war isn't going to be conducted on this romantic basis. Seven Fitzroy, I give Napoleon 100 days, no longer. If at the end of that time you're still alive, and you seem to be the type of young man that can't be killed, you can come and talk to me in London.
Thank you, sir. I shall count the days.
Nathan, the Times says there's a rumor that the stock exchange won't open today.
I wish it were true, but it isn't. Hannah, sit down. When people become rich, very rich, they have grave responsibilities.
I know.
I mean moral responsibilities that come with money that poor people never know.
Yes?
Could you bear to be poor? Really poor? I'm asking you now because tonight may be too late.
Tell me what you mean.
I'm buying on the stock exchange when everyone else is selling. I'm risking everything we have to save the credit of England. I'm sticking to the bargain I made. But things look bad for us, Hannah. Very bad.
Are you doing what you feel you should do?
Yes.
Do what you think is right. And if you fail, I'll love you all the more.
And whatever happens, with your love and your flower in my buttonhole, I'll still be the richest man in the world.
Father, Mr. Rolls brought a message. May we hear it?
It just came, sir. I thought you should have it before going to the exchange. Napoleon has thrown entire grand army against Wellington. James.
Worse and worse.
Poor shoe lady. These are hard times for young lovers.
Father, you said you gave Napoleon 100 days. This is the 100th day. Fitz hasn't come back to me.
Remember, I'm a magician. My day may be over, but I know there's a message of love and hope on its way for you.
Am I to continue to buy?
Yes.
But it's sheer suicide, sir.
Buy. Support the market.
But we can't possibly keep it up, sir.
How long?
It's 2 hours to closing time.
Can't hold on for 2 hours.
Then stop this insane buying.
No. I made a deal with Ladrans and the rest, and I won't go back on my word. Buy till we break.
But do you realize, sir, that you're holding more than any man ever held in the history of the stock exchange?
We've picked our horse, we'll back it till it drops.
But here are messages from your brothers begging you to hold back. You're alone in your judgment.
Are you blind? Where will Europe be if England is bankrupt? And if I can't hold the market, England's credit is gone.
But no one man can hold a nation's credit single-handed, Mr. Rothschild.
One man can try. I'm fighting in the only way I can fight, with money. I'm giving all I've got to give for the peace of Europe. And whatever other Englishmen do tomorrow, I buy today.
Mr. Rothschild, forgive me, but while rumors reach the exchange that Wellington has been defeated.
It can't be true. I should have heard long ago.
We owe so much to you. Will you do one thing more? Come and show yourself on the exchange. They say you're ruined and dare not face the music. There's a wild panic. Your presence may steady the market.
I'll come.
Too late, Mr. Rothschild. You backed the wrong horse this time. Rothschild, you've lost your luck.
Michael. Buy. Buy. Yes, buy.
Have you had any news? What do you think about this rumor?
I don't listen to rumors, Mr. Baring.
You hear what they say? Wellington defeated. You mind telling me what you're going to do?
I have no objection to all London knowing what I'm going to do. I'm buying.
Mrs. Rothschild asked me to give you this.
Did she come here to the exchange? Herself?
Yes.
Look at Rothschild. Did you ever see such a cold-blooded fish? Puts a flower in his coat as he stands on the scaffold with a rope around his neck.
News. Just arrived.
Wellington victorious at Waterloo. Napoleon defeated. The war is over. Gentlemen, listen, listen. I have news. News from Waterloo. Napoleon is beaten.
You've been overbuying. Don't play tricks on us.
It's important. It is true. Wellington has won at Waterloo.
Where? How did you get the news? Yes, how did you get the news?
I carry a pigeon. By pigeon post from the battlefield. Now you know our secret. Now will you buy? Buy with every security you have. Buy without security. Buy with your clothes on your back. Buy.
Rothschild,
Do tell me how it feels to be the richest man in the world.
One has to be very clever to make a fortune these days.
Perhaps, but far more clever to keep it.
Really? Well, I wish you'd tell me how to make money on the stock exchange. What's the recipe?
Oh, same as for a cold bath. Quick in and quick out. Excuse me.
Take your hands out of your pockets.
Hannah. Strange, isn't it? If young people like that should be just as interested in romance as you and I.
May I congratulate you, young people?
Thank you, Your Grace. Nathan, you're worried about something.
Yes, Hannah, I am. I'm confoundedly worried.
What is it?
Well, Mr. Rothschild, my congratulations. Harry, George, just the man I wanted to see. I'm very worried. Which knee do I kneel on when I go before His Royal Highness?
England is deeply grateful to her adopted son, who by his generosity and courage played so large a part in bringing victory and peace to Europe. His loyalty never wavered. His faith in England never faltered. To England, he has brought nothing but honor. And for England, we thank you, Baron Nathan Rothschild.
Hannah, I used the wrong knee.
To trade with dignity, to live with dignity, to walk the world with dignity.